Richmond gets $10 million per year for affordable housing. VCU and the Flying Squirrels put on the boxing gloves. And RIC has new nonstop flights to a sweet, warm vacation destination. This is the Real Richmond podcast. A weekly show focused on what's actually happening in and around Richmond. Local news that affects all of us, real estate updates, and answers to the questions that people are really asking about our area. I'm John Tiller. I'm a local realtor here, and I've called Greater Richmond home for over 30 years. Whether you live here, you work here, or you're thinking about moving to the area, this show is built to give you clarity and some context from a local insider. And we'll have a little bit of fun along the way. So let's start with the Richmond rundown. There's drama in the Diamond District. The new CarMax Park is opening on time. The Flying Squirrels will be playing there this spring. But VCU baseball? Well, probably not. That's because VCU walked away from the table on lease negotiations. But the why is bigger than just baseball. Because VCU owns $25 million worth of land needed for Richmond's own Triple D. No, not that one by Guy Fieri. This Triple D is the Diamond District development. It's apartments, retail, stores, shopping, and a walkable neighborhood that are planned to surround the stadium. So there's no lease for VCU, and that means there's no land deal. And no land deal means no Diamond District development. So yes, we get Squirrels baseball and a brand new facility, and that's what everybody will be talking about. But no, we have yet to get the neighborhood dining and entertainment district to go with it. Not yet anyway. For that, we'll still have to go across the boulevard to Scott's Addition. Next up on the rundown is something that might seem small, but it's really a big win for RVA. RIC Airport is getting a new nonstop flight to San Juan, Puerto Rico, starting in March. 3 times a week, there won't be any layovers, and there won't be any sprinting like OJ through Charlotte or Atlanta. Direct flights to beautiful destinations like Puerto Rico, they're not just convenience, they're economic infrastructure for our area. And this is Richmond, once again, leveling up. So let's talk housing now, because everything really comes back to this. Richmond City Mayor Danny Avila, he just rolled out a major rezoning plan called Code Refresh. It includes duplexes and accessory dwelling units, or ADUs. These aren't just she sheds anymore. These are tiny homes for grandma out back, or it might be an apartment for your 20-something kid that just doesn't want to leave the house. Or, for a lot of smart investors, it could be extra income renting the apartment over the garage. This plan also calls for higher density housing where it actually makes sense. And the big flex for Richmond is a commitment to over $10 million per year into the Affordable Housing Trust Fund that also has fast-track permitting. This makes real affordable housing a reality. But this is also a reality that the plan will face resistance. And we've got to solve this housing shortage, though, because it's not unique to Richmond, but how Richmond handles it and how they handle the fight, it's going to shape affordability for decades. Now, we're going to end the rundown with some really good news. Children's Hospital of Richmond just opened a brand new Level 4 NICU, the highest level of neonatal care available. They've got 20 new beds and private rooms for families and a state-of-the-art tech system that they're operating on. This one hits deep for me personally, and so I just want to say on behalf of those of us who have relied in the past and who will rely in the future on Children's Hospital to save our kids' lives, I just want to say thank you, VCU. That's a quality of life investment for our community, and it matters. All right, so we always wrap up the Richmond Rundown every week with a segment called Come On, Bruh. This is for news stories where somebody did something locally that just didn't make any sense. And this week, the culprit is a real estate developer of the former Hunting Hawk golf course. Now, many of you know this golf course is behind Henrico County's Wyndham neighborhood, just over the line into Hanover County. Or as some of my friends local in Hanover like to say, Hanover. Well, however you say it, the county rejected the proposal to rezone over 400 acres of that former golf course for a massive data center campus. And, listen, I'm not anti-data center like some of you probably are. Data centers generate tax revenue. And as long as we all keep using technology, we're going to need more data centers. But industrial scale infrastructure next to established neighborhoods, that's not hard to see that it's just the wrong fit. Residents and experts both raise real concerns about power, water, noise, and traffic, and the Planning Commission did the right thing. They said no. And that's not anti-growth, that's just good planning. So we give props to the Henrico and Hanover County Planning Commissions, and we say to that real estate developer, come on, bruh, find a location that's not literally in suburban backyards. All right, well, earlier we talked about the mayor, and speaking of the mayor, you ever wanted to live like one? Because the first home on our Richmond Lux list, where we feature our favorite luxury home listings, it's Bagley Mansion in Churchill. This was home to Richmond's former mayor, and it's now a fully renovated Queen Anne stunner across from Chimborazo Park. Lots of history, lots of cool features. Think fireplaces everywhere, a wine cellar, a wraparound porch with African hardwood, and a chef's kitchen. Hey, huge shout out to Caleb Boyer with Providence Hill Real Estate for listing this crown jewel. And next up, we're going to go from downtown to way out in the country where this one's really different. Listed just under $3.4 million, 189 Old Buckingham Road in Cumberland is over 8,200 square feet on nearly 60 acres. This isn't just a house, it's a legacy estate. Total privacy, open land, space for generations. No neighbors, no noise, no compromise. Shout out to Jamie Wood with Fine Creek Realty for bringing this one to market. Now listen, luxury listings, they aren't everyone's reality. But what is? The real estate market and the market forecast. So let's dive into something that actually hits home. The 2026 Richmond housing market forecast. When people ask me what this year looks like for Richmond real estate, the answer isn't hot and it's not cold or even cooling. It's this. Richmond has become a refuge market. That's not a refugee market. That's something that's a completely different story. A refuge market is where people go when other markets stop working, when affordability disappears, or when quality of life gets priced out. And that's exactly what's driving people here. Richmond was just named the number 6 best housing market in the entire country for 2026. Not just for growth, not just for affordability, but for both. And here's the key detail. Richmond is the only southern city in the top 6. That's why relocation demand is serious. Richmond sits in this kind of Goldilocks position where it's affordable enough for buyers coming from DC and further north. They're actually coming to us all the way from New England, across to Chicago, and many cities in between. Richmond is modern enough, the housing inventory is new enough to compete with other markets, and it's stable enough to grow. There are 3 forces that are driving this comeback. Let me share them with you real quick. First one is pent-up demand. As mortgage rates move to 6% and even lower, more than 5.5 million households nationally have requalified for a mortgage. In Richmond alone, that's over 25,000 additional households that have unlocked their ability to buy, and they can now afford a median-priced home. The second is demographics. Millennials are now in their prime buying years, and delayed demand from the pre-COVID era didn't disappear. It actually compounded. And then the third factor is confidence. Inflation is easing. Wages are finally starting to rise to accommodate for the past few years of inflation, and buyers are ready to commit. So Richmond also has this unique inventory advantage. See, over 31% of our listings are brand new construction. That's more than double the national average. That's a big deal. And in addition to that, the premium, partly because of that, the premium for new homes here, it's still reasonable. It's less than half the higher price that you'll pay for new homes in other areas over existing homes. For buyers, 2026 is not a wait-and-see year. It's a strategic entry point. Many are tired of missing out on the wealth built by homeownership. We all know that homeownership captures 4 to 7% appreciation every single year. It is forecasted to do that, 15% total over the next 4 years. And rent just doesn't do that for the tenant, it does that for the landlord. And so the net wealth built for homeowners over 10 years, let's say, versus renting is north of $500,000 over that same 10 years. Now, for sellers, inventory is still more than 30% below pre-pandemic levels, so competition is still light. And well-priced homes don't sit, they compete. So early 2026 is the window for that. Here's the big takeaway. Richmond isn't trying to be the hottest market in the country. We're becoming, though, the smartest one. Refuge markets like ours, they don't explode, they compound the opportunity that real estate provides. So that's it for this week's Real Richmond podcast. If you found this content interesting, man, I'd be super grateful if you'd leave a comment to let me know what you think, or share it with someone else who might be interested. I'm John Tiller, your local realtor, keeping up with what's happening in and around Greater Richmond so you don't have to. I'll see you again next week.